Ross Hodge and company are doing it again already. We just heard about Eagle staff yesterday, and already he's got another big visitor on campus that we got to talk about.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up? Welcome back in, guys. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am the host around here. This is Locked On West Virginia, where we're going to talk some hoops again today, and it's going to be a fun time. We've got a big visitor on campus. Big roster rebuilds are happening. If you don't remember, that fell off the wall in the background, didn't it? If you may remember, West Virginia started with nothing, and so I brought somebody else that knows what it's like to be without, somebody that is used to having nothing, to being nothing. And who better than my friend Cam Stuart from Locked On Baylor?
They call me the nothing man. I'm so used to nothing.
Yeah. Actually, my favorite childhood movie is The Never-Ending Story, where they're being chased by the nothing.
Aren't we all in a way, Paul? We're all being chased by the nothing. We're going towards the nothing.
Yeah.
It's pretty much all the same thing.
It's pretty much.
Especially when it comes to college basketball.
Brother, you guys have been through it. And we'll get to the visitor. Like. But let's talk about, because Chance Moore is on campus, guys. We're going to talk about that. I've had great contact with his agent and all that's been great. We'll talk about that in segment 2 after we crack our dew. I'm sure Cam brought something to drink. I know he did. But
no free ads, but
yeah. Baylor basketball and West Virginia basketball have something in common, man. And that is that everybody left. Nobody wants us. It's like that Will Smith meme. Why don't anybody want me, man? That's exactly what's going on here. What the heck is going on in Waco, dude? Like, you look at Edgecombe, he's gone, right?
Yep.
He accepts $1 billion to go to BYU.
Yeah.
Help me
just
here.
About. Dude, so this is what's funny is like so many people, outside of Baylor fans are like, oh, well, something like there's some sort of culture problem. Like there's some, like Scott Drew's lost the locker room. We've heard a bunch of that this week. And like, I get that. And maybe I'm being naive here, Paul, but it just feels like this perfect storm has happened where you had a bunch of guys who were not going to have eligibility left anyway, like a couple of key contributors, Norchad Amir, Jeremy Roach, guys like that. VJ Edgecombe was always going to go to the draft.
Freshman of the year.
Yeah. So he was always going to go. And then you just have some guys who I think Baylor wasn't like in a vacuum. Baylor wasn't like trying to drag these guys to stay in Waco, but then it just piled up and all of a sudden you've got no players and you're looking around and there's no furniture in the apartment.
And you're Will Smith.
So you're doing the Will Smith, you're doing the other Will Smith meme, right? The other Fresh Prince meme we've already referenced too. And I don't think this was a team that was as connected as some Baylor teams of the past. Right. Like, I don't know that this is necessarily a Scott Drew issue other than the fact that he went out and got these guys. Right. And it just seems like this perfect storm. And now we're sitting here trying to rebuild from the ground up, which I know, the Mountaineers are used to, unfortunately over the last couple of years. This is the way it is. I don't know that it's Baylor's broke. They obviously don't have just barrels of cash, but these things, they start.
Any
idea
snowball. What you guys are working with in NIL wise? I mean, do you have a number in mind? Is it 5? Is it 8?
Yeah, not really. I think it's probably higher than a lot of people think. I know what a couple of the players themselves made, so I don't know what the exact budget was. They paid one player over $1 million last year, which is pretty big for Baylor. They were committing $1.5 million to Rob Wright this year that he had signed on the dotted line for before going to BYU and accepting, more than double that. The numbers at 3.5 for BYU. So they're not going to be able to keep up with that, but it's been, building from the ground up here without losing a coach. That's the crazy thing. We didn't lose.
Yeah, we actually have a reason to be there, right? We lost the coach.
Yeah, and it's a double-edged sword because on the same flip side, you get to bring in some guys that played with him at UNT, and that's a big step up to play at West Virginia. So I'm not saying like, oh, it's all great. You get the UNT guys because you'd rather just keep your coach, but that's like the the part that's not beneficial is that they did not have to fire their coach. So it's not like you're bringing in 2 or 3 guys right off the bat.
So talk a little bit about some of these Baylor ads, because you guys have went back in and added some really good players, man.
Yeah, I'm real excited about Obi Agbim. He's this kid from Wyoming. Shoots over 40% from 3. He was the Mountain West Newcomer of the Year. And as you know, a ball knower, Mountain West has gotten a lot better the last 3 or 4 years or so. It's a pretty good, pretty decent conference. He comes in with a lot of these guys only have 1 year. So he's in the backcourt with 1 year. JJ White from Nebraska Omaha led them to the tournament last year. Another 40+% 3-point shooter for a team that just couldn't buy threes when they needed it last year. And I think that was probably their biggest like X's and O's downfall. Jocelyn Bodo is not only a great name, but a pretty athletic center from High Point. And I do want to talk to him in comparison to one of the guys that the Nears have picked up because he's a lot like Obioha from UNCW. Just one of those classic like dunker spot guys, good block rate. And kind of buried is the fact they got Dan Skillings Jr. from Cincinnati. This is a kid who 2 years ago was a starter for the Bearcats and was a damn good player. He's averaging 13 a game for them in their starting lineup. Battled some injuries last year, also wasn't as effective a player. But that's a guy with Big 12 starting experience that you went out and got. You haven't been able to do that since Jalen Bridges.
You had to bring that up, didn't you? Good
Gotta
Lord.
get something positive, man.
I get it. And he definitely improved once he got to Waco compared to what he did at West Virginia.
It took a minute, by the way. It did take it wasn't towards the end till really like the last 2 weeks or so of that first year, and then his senior year was tremendous for us. Should have been higher on the All Big 12.
I thought the Dan Skillings pickup was pretty nice for you guys. He's a dude with got a lot of upside too. I don't know how much time he's got left, but
I think it's just one.
Is it just one for him too? But I mean, he's rated a 4-star transfer, and he's definitely a great defensive player. It's a typical Scott Drew type of player, a guy that does both, right? And that's what you guys do. I also like the JJ White. I went and watched a lot of his stuff from Omaha. They had a good basketball team last year. He was their best player. 14 points a game, 4 assists per game, 2 rebounds per game. He also shot at 44% from behind the arc. Ooh. So like, I mean, he's also a top 100%, top 100 assist rate guy. So you guys definitely added pieces.
Yeah, I like that JJ White one too. I think he does a lot. I would rather have Rob Wright at the end of the day, but I think he gives you a lot of what Rob does plus 3-point shooting. Like, I mean, one of the best 3-point shooters in the portal. Yeah.
And I actually do think West Virginia added the best one in Huff. I mean, that dude can he
just
stroke.
A straight stone cold killer from 3, man. Anyone in America could use a guy like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think where you're getting into, and I was just telling you, I had a conversation with somebody about this that is in the industry, and he was asking me like, man, a lot of these guys West Virginia is looking at kind of a departure from what Hodge did at North Texas, which is, and he's openly talked about this, the Houston model, right?
Yeah, mucking it up, we call that.
Yeah, exactly. and I'm curious if West Virginia can land an Eagle staff and a Chance Moore, who was really good for St. Bonaventure last year on campus. We're told is a great shot. We're going to talk about him next in the second segment a little bit more deeply. But, I mean, you start to look at the West Virginia side of this, and I'm starting to get excited. You got a 7-footer, right? I mean, those don't grow on trees in Obioha, obviously.
Can't teach that.
And you can't teach it. And he's a back-to-the-basket guy that can score it, and is he an elite big? I don't know. But I think he's good. He's a rim protector. And then you add 2 really good wings, that I really like. I love Jackson Fields from Troy, an all-defensive guy from that conference at the Sun Belt. And then you also add Lorient, who was their defensive stalwart at 6'9" that can bounce his head off the rim. He was on the FAU Final Four team, and he was their 6th man at FAU. He went over to North Texas, became a big contributor, double-digit score for them last year. And then you bring Jasper Floyd, who had 80 steals over as well. Yeah. I just don't know. I've been trying to look at this lineup. You add Moore and Eagle staff. I can't figure out which 5 they're going to go with, to be honest.
It's a good problem to have, man.
It is a good problem to have. But I just think that, I think the narrative that West Virginia's donors were mad because of Ross Hodge hire, this ain't looking like that's the case now.
Yeah, the dude can recruit, right? And he basically had to do that a couple years ago after McCaslin left UNT. You know, that's the portal era. Anytime, whether you're promoted as an assistant or you're going to a new school, you're basically starting over. Roster wise, and he had UNT right back in the thick of things in that conference, pretty much right away after losing the only good coach they've ever had. The only modicum of success they've ever had was under Grant McCaslin. I know this is no hot take, Paul, but I like me some Trayson Eaglestaff, man. That kid can play. We saw the success of Grant Nelson, who wasn't North Dakota, but North Dakota State, going to Alabama. And the similarities are there. Like,
they're there.
High volume scoring guys in that conference, and it translated.
Do you think he's got any kind of defensive presence to him at all? That's like what some people want to know, because he's a $190 at 6'7", right? So that's, I think, that's where people will begin to question it. And I get that. And I looked at a lot of his, his analytics, like, he's got good numbers as far as, his steal numbers are good. He's got a lot of tip balls. Like, he does things well, but it's the brain, so
sure.
How much time does a guy have to come, let's say he comes in the next couple of months to campus. Can a guy add 10 or 20 pounds before the year starts? I don't know. I don't even know if that's safe to do with basketball and shots. I have no idea, So, but yeah, it's a dream ad, and had Goodman and everybody saying it's pretty much done yesterday. I think though, we can openly say that West Virginia is just waiting a little bit, because it doesn't look great that he just decommitted from South Carolina all of a sudden.
Right.
And then that same day, I'm going to West Virginia. It's just like, it's not Kentucky.
You know what I really like is that West Virginia. I think I'm going to go. I might reach out to them, Yeah.
And people that don't know who he is are like, oh, he must be like just a serviceable 20 points a game. And he's leaving South Carolina. And trust me, West Virginia is a better job than South Carolina. I'm not saying that, but it's just an odd look, right? And the thing is like, there's a connection. We, even Goodman talked about it yesterday. There's a connection between West Virginia staff and his camp. So those things work, man. Let's go to break really quick. We're a little over. On the other side, we'll talk about this big visitor, and Cam he'll talk wherever we can. We'll be right back, guys. This is Locked On West Virginia. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by Upwork. That's right. We're talking about Upwork. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. Well, with Upwork, you can find so specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Basically everything that we bring about the end of the world. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. There is a personal touch involved here if you were wondering. There's fast and easy hiring, cost-effective growth, and you can also find the right talent. If you need to help with a marketing campaign, Upwork can connect you with the freelance expert who delivers incredible results. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's Upwork, and UPWORK.com, Upwork.com, to connect talent and grow your business today. Do it now. Do it today. Do it with Upwork. It's segment 2.
You know what time it is.
You know what time it is, as I push the wrong buttons. Let's crack a do. Let's talk a little bit about this, man. I'm sure you have something to drink.
Yeah, I just get a Propel. I'm trying to stay hydrated here,
That's
Paul.
fine, bro.
I've been working this Locked On NHL game night the last couple nights, which records at like 1 a.m. So I've drank a ton of soda this week. So I'm trying to just get that hydration back.
So you're a big NHL guy?
Big time. Oh, yeah.
Let me ask that a little bit more Canadian, because like they go up in inflection when they say things.
And they put something at the end too.
Yeah. You're a big NHL fan, eh?
Yeah. That was almost like Irish Canadian. I like that.
Irish Canadian.
Yeah.
Exactly what I was going for. 1,000%.
Oh, it's a beautiful game, Paul.
So
it'll catch on in West Virginia. I know it will.
Yeah, absolutely. There's already a dialect growing in Dingus, where I'm from. Dingus, West Virginia. You might want to know what a dingus is. we can't talk about that. I forgot.
Yeah. Different show. Fair show.
Chance Moore from St. Bonaventure is on campus today, and man, what a good player. I went and watched a bunch of his tape today, spent about an hour on it. I always tell my people on this show, Cam, when I study tape, I try to watch game film because highlights will sell you dreams sometimes. And
of course,
with this, I think, this is a kid that really cuts through the film a bit, in a good way, because he's a two-way player. He's 6'6". He averaged double figures, 13 and 7 last year, which is really good. We'll take that. Obviously, that's at a lower level. But sometimes, man, these guys just need more opportunities. And his usage rate was really low there, 46% field goal percentage. And look, he was really good. Like I said, he was at Missouri State before that, where he was also a double-figure scorer. No surprise, kids play at multiple different schools these days. So what does he do well? He scores it. He's got versatility. He can score it outside a little bit. He can score it inside. Really great as you get towards the rim. And he drives through. He does mid-range jumpers with the occasional three-point shot. He has the ability to start, I think, at the Power 4 level. That 7 rebounds per game is really significant, in my opinion, at 6'6", because that's going to be a wing player that really crashes the boards. He has starting experience. He's got a ton of experience, and he's got athleticism. He can literally bounce his head off the rim. Like, he's super athletic, man. I was surprised. Really reminds me of Lorient, another guy we picked up. And so on the wings, you start to see a style of player here that Ross Hodge is going for, Cam. What do you think about old Chance Moore here?
I mean, I think you hit it in the last part there. We talked about it in the first segment. Ross Hodge like to muck it up a little bit. And this is a guy here, Chance Moore, that could have fit right in for Huggy Bear. Like, I'm fascinated by the numbers, because the first thing that kind of catches my eye looking at it is the 3-point percentage goes down every year. And he starts taking less threes. And I'm like, that's not a good sign. But then you look deeper into it, and while his usage, his 3-point percentage and actual attempts goes down every year, his rebounds go up every year. And he's a solid 6'6", 210. You asked if you can, how much weight and muscle can you add in basketball for it to be okay? I don't have the numbers in front of me of how much weight he's added every year, but I think those numbers kind of say that he's doing that. Now he's a brick house, right? At 6'6", 210. Yep. I imagine his role just developed, and he becomes more of a, slasher cutter kind of guy, one who, the coach goes to him and says, hey, you're 6'6". I need you to be able to guard 3 different positions rather than play a couple plays, a couple different spots on offense. And so I think that's kind of an evolution of his game. So yeah, the 3-point shooting sucks, but that's not what you're looking for him at this point. And I think Ross Hodge sees a guy that's like, this brother could get in the mud here. Like he can guard a couple of different guys. He's solid. Like that is something that those also don't grow on trees. You kind of have to make them in a lab. It takes a couple of years. That's why, those teams that are very veteran laden have a couple of these guys. So that I think is, yes. And I think that's a major plus that he can do that for you.
I totally agree. It'd be a great pickup. Like I said earlier, with what we already have, and you add an Eagle staff along with the Chance Moore, you really have the makings of a special portal class. And I don't say that as a West Virginia fan. I say that as an honest somebody that's looking at this objectively. I really do like what they're doing. But there's still a lot. I mean, they got 15 spots these days, dude. Like,
right.
Like there's still a long way to go. And I mean, 6, 7, 8 players are great, and that's a rotation, but you got to have more than that these days. And I'm curious with Baylor, what do you think Scott Drew's going to do next? Obviously, at least I have here. So you lose Wright, you lose Love, you use Jason, was it Asamoah? Is that how he says it?
Yep.
Yeah. And then you use Omar Agdabala. I forgot all about him.
Not much of a player.
Celestine, Dubrovich, and Jonga. Like a ton of guys are gone, right?
Yeah.
You've got BJ Eckham, who, like you said, was probably always going to go pro. But I mean, what about this kid from Oregon State? Like, you've got a few other players you picked up along the way here that maybe we didn't talk about earlier.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's rated as a 4-star transfer.
Yeah, that's Michael Ratai from Oregon State. And I think what's interesting, Paul, what your last point talking about your guys' portal class and saying how this could be special, I was thinking it looks a lot like Baylor's. And Baylor's is already ranked as a top 10 class right now. And there's a lot of quantity part of that, maybe even more
Right.
so than quality, but the quality's pretty good. And you add a Trace Eaglestaff, that's a lot like Obi Agbin, maybe even a little bit better. And Michael Ratai, I think, fits a lot like Brennan Lorient, who is a guy I really like for this West Virginia class. Ratai is this one who, like I just said about Chance Moore, at 6'9" rather than 6'6", he can guard a couple of different positions too. He's not necessarily a knockdown shooter, but you got a couple of those already, just like West Virginia has. You don't need Chance Moore to shoot 40% from three. You got a couple of guys that do that.
Yeah.
And so you bring him in as one who can guard a few different positions, who can score inside. They didn't have that last year. They had, Norchad O'Meara playing as an undersized center who obviously played it really well. But Celestine, you have to put basically as your power forward in the middle of the season. And he's a 3-point shooter. He's 6'7", but he's a 3-point shooter. You don't have such a call there with Michael Ratai. He knows what his role is going into this season. So like him, Bodo, the guy they got from Jocelyn Bodo, they got from
all name team
already. One of those athletic 7-footers, just an absolute terror in the dunker spot, and a block shot artist, which they didn't have. Norchad was a good defender, but you didn't have any real deterrent at the rim. Really, if you look at the last 4 years, you only had it with that 1 year of Yves Misi in 23-24. So adding that, I think, is big. And yeah, I'm selling the Dan Skillings thing short a little bit still. I know we talked about that. I just wasn't
a big loss for them when you let them tell it.
Yeah. And I
went on Chatterbox a few weeks ago. They were talking about how they couldn't afford to lose him.
And now that he's gone, some of them are like, oh yeah, you can.
He was terrible anyway.
Boy. Yeah. So I've heard.
We had the same thing happen. Who was it? I can't remember. We had somebody. Oh gosh, I forget now. But we missed out on somebody, or we didn't sign somebody. I can't remember what it was, which one. But it was like, oh, I remember now. Here's what it was. It was Eaglestaff, right? Like Kentucky, Kansas were on ball with him. Gonzaga a few days ago.
Yep.
And then he goes to South Carolina, flips to West Virginia. Apparently, we don't know this 1,000% yet, but people were like, "Oh, he was never that good anyway." Defensive liability, I
were hearing about Rob Wright too. Too small, couldn't play defense. Like, no, I think we'd all take him in a heartbeat. I love that.
Yeah. Let's go to break really quick. We'll come right back, or do you need to go?
No, I'm good. Let's keep it rolling.
Let's go to break. We'll come right back, guys. Appreciate you all for piling in, and we'll be right back. Stick around. This is Locked On West Virginia with Cam. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is also going to be brought to you by, of course, we talk about FanDuel around here. It is the GOAT. The NBA playoffs are almost here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in the action. Because right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bets if your first bet wins. That's pretty cool. I love how FanDuel makes betting easy, whether it's picking my favorite team or diving into player props. From three-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 bet and do it today. And we are back here on Locked On West Virginia with Cam from
Locked On Baylor.
You guys make sure you check out. I like it. As we approach 500 people in here, I appreciate you guys for joining in on X, over on YouTube, TikTok, and everywhere else. So, as we approach Cam here, talking a little bit more about the situation with West Virginia with Baylor. So, the question I asked you earlier was, is there anybody out there like West Virginia that Baylor is looking at? Anybody that any on your wish list? Anything like that?
Honestly, I would need to refresh the wish list, because as much as I kind of dumped on Dan Skillings a little bit, like that would, yes, right. And as you know, when you're going for a whole new roster, it's like almost too much to keep up with. There's like 2 or 3 guys they've contacted every single day. But the most recent one we've been on was Dan Skillings. And so now he is committed. So now we're kind of shifting our focus again. I really wanted them to get Magoon Gwath from San Diego
all-name
State.
Team.
Another great all-name guy.
Yeah.
And they replaced him with Bodo basically. So another great all-name guy. He was a Texas kid, 7-footer, from San Diego
Was
State.
Was he also a block artist?
Yeah. And I'm really bummed because this is going to lead me to my next point. I'm really bummed about Brennan Lorient. The more I looked, I was looking at him for Baylor already, and then when
did you look at his tape too?
Yeah, and then
He's
when we
a
were
freak
doing the
athlete.
show, I looked even more, and I just love the kid, man.
I do too.
And
yeah,
you know what?
Excited.
You know what I like the most is again, not this guy who was necessarily like a big time 3-point shooter, but A, he scores well at the rim.
Mm-hmm.
B, he's 65% effective field goal guy, 95th percentile. So you know what that tells me, Paul, is that means he's taking good shots and making them. But my favorite part about him, he's a really good passer, man. Really,
he is.
His assist rate is awesome for a guy of his size, and you just know that's something that is developed in the college game, and that is another kind of green flag, if you will, of this guy continues to grow his game. I'm sure he did not walk onto a college basketball arena the first time and was had a 15% assist rate. I just doubt it. And so that shows that that's another guy who is embracing a role and trying to get better. And those are the kind of guys that you see jump up from a mid-major to a power 4 and only get better. Yeah. And so that's, I just looking in between the numbers of that. I liked him before. I really like him after looking at him today as well.
And he's an elite defender.
Yes.
Literally,
and we didn't even talk about that.
Defender. Yeah. He's like, and that's not even just like show talk. Like he's really a great defender at 6'9". He can really, like I said earlier, bounce his head off the rim, probably right there to 35, 40-inch vertical. And you go back and watch even his FAU stuff, like he was very undeveloped. And you may have not have caught this, but so whenever Hodge got hired at West Virginia, West Virginia was trying to sell the hire. So they went out and got all these comments from different coaches because there was some unrest. Nobody knew who really Ross Hodge was yet.
Yeah.
And a really good one came from Dusty May. He said, here's how I know he's a good coach, because he took a player that I couldn't get over at FAU and turned him to an all-conference guy at North Texas,
That's pretty
and that's Brennan Lorient, right? So just to your point, you took a guy that had a Final Four caliber team that I couldn't really, obviously had all the talent, couldn't really fit him in. He was like their 6th, 7th guy, and turned him into just a stud really at a place like North Texas. And Jasper Floyd is very similar. He was like that at Fairfield. He had 80 steals, man. That's a lot. And so like there's like I was I was talking to that guy in the industry, and I do think there are some concerns defensively for this team, but I mean, sure, Honor Hupp is not a defensive stalwart. No.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 5'10", 160 pounds, sure. But he really makes up for a lot. And he did average 2.5 steals a game. So it's not like he doesn't do
plus
nothing.
Value as a 3-point shooter, man. Like he's gonna score more than he gives up,
Yeah.
And I do with Jasper Floyd, the only thing that kind of brings me down on him statistically is just the offensive rating. It's obviously anything over 100's good, but he's only at 101 as your point guard. I just think for West Virginia fans, he's not Javon Small. No, and obviously Javon Small, and this is even from a year ago, because I was really hoping that Baylor would get Javon Small out of the portal last year when he left Oklahoma State, and I didn't know he was going to be quite that good at West Virginia. But even then, I was like, this kid is a good, solid player, and Floyd, he just doesn't have kind of the explosiveness that you would love from like a big time.
He's a grinder,
but. Yeah, that's exactly what he is. That's exactly what he is. And obviously it does help that he played for Ross Hodge as well.
It does, and that's going to give him the leg up. I just don't know if he's your starting day one point guard. I mean, okay, you can sell me on Honor Huff being that if you want him, because he did run the point there last year. But, I mean, you're probably going to move Huff off the ball, I would assume.
Yeah.
But, I mean, look, he can run point. It's not like he can't. You do have to have you don't have to. I mean, we had Joe Mazzulla, who a lot of people will compare to. Yeah, a lot of people will compare to Jasper Floyd. He's a lefty. He's kind of a grinder. He wasn't a pro. If you got guys that make great decisions, you can have a point guard like that, especially if you've got great players around him, which an Eagle staff qualifies as, which a Hub qualifies as. I mean, those are two really good guys to pass it to. But I think you got to, you know, if you do end up landing with Eagle Staff, and I mean, like I said, we think it's going to happen. Nothing's guaranteed in this portal era. Huff on one side, Eagle Staff on the other. You got to have a great distributor come in. You got it. Yeah. You almost obligated at that point to bring one in, right? I mean, how would you like to toss it to two guys that shoot it close to 40%?
And I think that's probably the thing that right now keeps it from being like, this is a really, really special class. Yeah, it's one of the things that probably makes sure that you're still off the radar nationally, is just that you don't have that. And again, I don't want to sound like Floyd is just this bum, but he's not the caliber of distributor I think that you would want for those two studs. That's all.
No, he's a defending point guard, whatever you want to call that. And by the way,
just fine for a first-year head coach for the most part, you know?
Right. Yeah. I mean, obviously the you know, most people will tell you that any team, all the teams that were in their Final Four last year were what? Do you remember? They had a great mixture. They had a great mixture of like second-year players, and you know what I mean? Like,
they had continuity.
There's no team that had all first-year starters in the Final Four. Yeah. So it's not going to happen. So it is what it is, man. Where can people find you at? What are you up to?
Dude, you can find me.
Mean, you got a bunch of different stuff going on, don't you?
We got a lot of different stuff, man. I talked about NHL Game Night. The main engine is Locked On Baylor. Of course, you can find that on YouTube, wherever you get your podcast, just like Locked On West Virginia, at Real Cam Stuart on X. If you do have any really diehard Joe Mazzulla people that are Boston sports fans like me, I do have a show called The Cam Show, which rolls out every weekday on YouTube, noon Eastern time, that's talking about Boston sports every day. So if there's some crossover,
that's awesome.
There. But we do have something going out tonight that I think the West Virginia fans might like as well. It's actually going to be right at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We've got a little video going out about Rob Wright going to BYU and the lies he's spewing today. I don't know how West Virginia fans feel about it.
That's spicy.
But I love the BYU people. But I'm just getting sick of this thing where they're like, no, we're getting guys because we develop NBA players and we outlove them. And it's like, no, you're getting guys because you're offering $3.5 million.
Come on.
And like, that's fine. Just don't be disingenuous about it. So Rob Wright said today, he was like, I wanted to go here because they have developed guys in the NBA and they have not had a draft pick in 14 years. So
right. And yeah, come on, man. And it's like, don't get me on the Mormon stuff because I'll get us.
I've already gotten in hot water, man. I've already gotten in trouble. So
yeah, right. I mean, has anybody ever actually looked into what that whole thing is built on? Anyway, it's not. It's
just
not,
throwing the questions out there.
Yeah, just throwing them out there. You know, like it's just one of those things. But we can't go too deep into it because there are people that it could offend. I don't want to offend anybody. Certainly, belief is a good thing at the end of the day. So yeah, man. I don't want to judge too many people on it.
And I like the BYU people for the most part.
Just don't lie about it. Like it's 3.5 million reasons to just
It's just it's the same thing with Nico. Is, man. Yeah, that's what college sports is right now.
It wasn't a great fit for me.
People just do it. Yeah, it's like
Tennessee was a bad offensive fit for me. Come on, man.
You weren't saying that when you were in the college football playoff, but yeah. Right. Anyway.
Yeah, it was a horrible fit when you were in the playoff.
Right.
Guys, make sure you check out Locked On Baylor. Make sure you check out all the stuff he's got going on. He's even on the NHL if you're on that tip. Thank you to Raven. Thank you to Shaq. Thank you to Dylan, everybody in the mods section. And those of you on Discord, it is free. We've been growing really quick there. We've gotten up to close to a couple hundred people in there in less than a few weeks. So we're growing there. It is, like I said, it is free, and there's a lot of really good intel in there that I drop before I post. So if you want to be in the know quicker and sooner than most other people, jump in and join, man. It's a good time. Cam, thanks for coming on, brother. We went over 30. We're at 34 minutes here. It was a good time, man. I appreciate you for jumping on. I needed somebody to kind of delegate to today a little bit.
Anytime, Mountaineer Paul, you know that. Love hopping on with you.
Yeah, man. And I appreciate you. And guys, like I said, make sure you go check Cam out. He's really one of the best we got. Very informative and super funny dude. So, all the niceties, we got to get those out of the way. So,
yeah.
All right, guys, I will see you guys on the next one. Things are fluid. Something could literally happen any minute. If we get a commitment, one thing we do here, what is the motto? We record 7 days a week. We don't miss a day, and we're not going to miss a day. It's most of the time we try to go multiple times a day, basically like we're on a honeymoon, right? So make sure you stick around here for that, guys, and I'll see you on the next episode. It's going to be a good time. See you then. We're out of here.